you need Joanne's signature on that?
Typically I need a majority of the board.
Okay, so 4 is enough?
I can contact Joanne and see if
She's sick.
I can be able to come in.
Okay. Next on the agenda is informational announcement on the Public Works update. We're gonna have a public hearing on November 18th, and then a town meeting to take it to vote on November 25th. And that town meeting, when is it, 6, right?
They're both at 6 p.m. We're having a pre-bid meeting with contractors tomorrow at the Lubec Town office at 1 p.m. I invite any of the selectmen who's available at that time. I had talked today with our engineer Jan Murchison. Right now it's looking like we've got 7 general contractors who are interested in the project, including the 2 low bidders previously. So
That's great.
it is. Now, the November 18th public hearing, we are going to continue to have Municipal Facilities Committee meetings every couple of weeks. So we're going to have one next Wednesday, and that's just going to keep people abreast as to how the project's going. The November 18th meeting, we're going to bring Peter Coughlin back up, answer people's questions. By that time, we should have a bid dollar amount, because the bids are going to be open November 6th. And we should have an idea what the interest rates are going to be. So I am hoping that we're going to have the town meeting number on the 18th. We're hoping that we can answer any questions that people may have, and
And where will that be? Here?
That'll be at school.
Both of them are gonna be at the
Yes.
school? Okay, at 6.
At 6.
Okay.
And then we're going to have the town meeting on the 25th, and hopefully the community is going to come out and support the project.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is trio integration. A few meetings ago, the select board voted to reduce the administrative budget by $50,000, one of which included $5,500 to eliminate bank charges for people who are using their credit cards and passing the interest back to the people. So in order to do that, we signed for Infamain, and in order to merge that with the trio, we're going to have a cost of $650 for the software. What, Heather, you were saying?
Is it 500 for the software?
500 for the software and 150 for the training. We've already had the training, and this is a one-time charge with an annual maintenance and support of $100. Well worth it, I believe, because the balance would be that we would save over $48.50 in the first year. So we do need a vote and approval on that. Do I have a motion to approve of Harris local government quote for this software licensing?
Didn't we already approve this once?
Not the expenditure of this, just,
They approved to go with Infome, but this is an additional.
this is a trio, this is the.
I know what it is.
Okay, so we didn't,
But I thought we already said to go ahead. But if you need a motion, I make a motion that we go ahead and enter into this deal with Infomate for $650.
Well, when
It would be with
this
Harris.
would be with Trio Harris,
Whatever. Whomever, right
I
here.
got it, the trio.
second, all in favor?
You seconded that?
I knew what you were saying.
Oh, okay.
All right, under new business, we have each year a winter parking ban, and apparently the select board has to vote on that. So it will be from November 15th to April 15th. And if you have your car parked in a town road, it gets towed.
And basically, this is for snow removal purposes and it's for safety.
All right. And do I have a motion to approve of the winter parking ban in Lubec?
Ooh, I want to do that one. I'll approve the, motion to approve the winter parking ban. I understand it.
All right, for November 15th to April 15th, 2014 and 2015, right? And a second? Seconding?
Seconding that.
Discussion? All in favor? All righty, now some happy business. finally, we have Betty here. She's been busy and doing all kinds of work and things in Augusta. The Maine Town and City Clerks Association has conferred the title of Certified Clerk of Maine upon Betty Case, who has completed the requirements prescribed by the Maine Town and City Clerks Associations for lifetime certification. That is incredible, and we are so proud to have Betty here with us in Lubec, the easternmost town.
Thank you.
And we want to congratulate you, Betty.
This is something she's worked on for quite some time. She's attended a number of classes, and I definitely think it is something that she should be recognized for. She received this September 9th, but through one issue or another, she hasn't been with us. So now that she is here, and it is good to recognize her for this achievement.
That also goes back to let people know that the staff here is keeping up on all the laws and the training, and anything that changes, we're up on it. And I know they don't like it when changes happen, and they don't like that we have to ask for identification or fill out an application, but these are laws that's set up not by us, but we have to abide by them. And as I use the example, if my son came in and wanted his birth certificate, didn't have his driver's license, and I gave birth to him, I couldn't give him that his birth certificate. You have to show, treat everybody the same.
Right.
Right. And I mean, I know Betty's attended training anywhere from Aroostook County to southern Maine, and she's even went out of the state,
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire for training, so.
Well, we really appreciate all your hard work and keeping us abreast of those rules. Next on the agenda is the Washington County Council of Governments 2014 General Meeting is November 6th. Bob Foster has been our appointed designee, plus we had Sarah McConnell last year. We need a new selectman to volunteer to do that, and we do need to appoint Bob Foster to continue this year.
Now, I had a conversation with Judy East here right before the meeting. She said that the Council of Governments meets 6 times a year, that their meetings are moved around the county, so you're not always traveling. Typically, the meetings are around 2 hours. In the wintertime, they try to have the meetings around lunchtime, so nobody's driving home at the dark. And then the rest of the year, the meeting time is usually 5 to 7:30.
Mm-hmm. Do I have any volunteers? No. Don't for me.
Well, I would just like to say I'd love to do this, but I can't meet at lunchtime.
Oh,
And everybody knows it, so I can't do it. I can't commit to something I know I won't be attending.
Well, would you like to go to the meetings when you can attend, and somebody substitute for you when you can't? Sounds like you'd like to go.
Well, yeah, I can do that, but I won't be able to make them all, if they're gonna have them at lunchtime.
Does it matter if we just send a select person to, and make sure that we're represented, so that we could maybe take turns going, or do you just want one person?
Should we nominate Heather as our representative, then if she can't make it, somebody else just
Yeah,
goes.
we'll fill in for you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's, okay, so I'm asking for a vote to appoint both Bob Foster and Heather Lee to the COG for the year. And we understand that if you can't do the lunch ones, someone will substitute for you.
Betty, would you need 2 separate votes?
2 separate votes? No?
Okay.
We can do them together? Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to elect Bob Foster and Heather Lee as our Washington County Council of Governments 2014 General Meeting team for
The
we're
COG.
start November 6th, the COG of 2014 through, I believe it's October 25th.
All right. All in favor? Or do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Another informational item on the agenda, Flyers Bay Development Association meeting Wednesday, October 29th. Sorry, oops. Let's sign something. Excuse me. Do you need all of our signatures on this? Alrighty. My signature's getting sloppy.
Sign myself in?
And,
Not necessarily.
Well, while they're signing that, what it says is just an information thing. Friars Bay Development Association meeting Wednesday, October 29th at the Welsh Pool Landing beginning at 11 a.m. John, did you have some information
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, basically, it's 11 o'clock Atlantic, so it's 10 o'clock our time. The Friars Bay Development Association is a group working to bring cruise ships into Campobello at the port of Welshpool. I've been attending these meetings for some time. What their goal is to bring the cruise ships, the smaller ones, up to 250 passengers, to this area, and then use the entire Coptic Bay, Eastport, Lubec, Campobello area as part of the destination. I think this would be a benefit for Lubec, a benefit for our merchants to have these people in town looking to buy stuff. And so we've been attending these meetings. Mike Scrivani and I have been going on a regular basis. We've been contacting by email just to make sure that Lubec is represented by this group. And it's been some time since they've had a meeting, so it is good to see them getting back into getting together, and I look forward to an update on the project.
Are you likely to go?
I would like to go, if the selectmen would like to go. I think it would be an advantage. I would like to see somebody from the Chamber of Commerce go, because I think the local business community should know what's going on. I think it would be a benefit for them.
Well, we'll see if we can arrange that. We don't need to vote on that, right?
No.
Right, will we review and sign a letter of support for the International Bay of Fundy International Marathon? Do you want me to read that? I would go over it at once, but I'll read it then. Oh, yes, this is one of John's outstanding letters. To whom it may concern, this is to the Bay of Fundy International Marathon Committee. They approached me last week and asked if they could get a letter of support. They're looking for sponsorship throughout the state of Maine and needed a letter. And so John constructed this letter. The Lubec Board of Selectmen wants to publicly support the Bay of Fundy International Marathon. This event has brought positive recognition to our community and reminded us that by working together we can accomplish great things. It also gives us an opportunity to reach out to our neighbors on Campobello and to join together to coordinate an international marathon. The benefits extend beyond the economic boost merchants in both communities receive. Emergency services get to work together and train in non-emergency situations. This will make them more effective working together during a crisis. Our citizens get to share the beauty of the area we choose to call home. By watching the runners excel in their passion, we can see the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. Hopefully this can influence the decisions we make as we review our own choices. What started as a simple thought turned into an international event drawing participants and spectators from across the country and the world. It also reinforces the fact that when you combine imagination with determination, anything is possible. Wonderful. Letter. All right. Do I have a vote that we can sign this letter? I mean a motion. Sorry, I need a motion.
Motion to sign the International Marathon Committee letter.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Conley, John, I think you might have been a writer.
Well, I don't know, I had pretty good writer's block going on there for a while.
Well, it's worked now.
I got that down to a science.
You did. Next item on the agenda is we need to review the job description for a seasonal public works employee. We had recently, last meeting, had accepted the resignation of Daniel Bryant, and I guess we reviewed that and decided we would go ahead with the seasonal employee rather than a full-time employee for now. See how that worked out? So, have we had a chance to review that, the job description?
Is it in my own?
I think it's in here somewhere.
And typically, the selectmen do look at and review the job descriptions, and where the seasonal position was a new position.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I took a lot of the stuff from the regular Highway 2 position as it referred to winter events, and I had Ricky go over it to make sure that we weren't missing anything. He was comfortable with it.
Does it have, I normally seasonal position has dates, beginning and ending dates, that I read in the rules.
One of the things on this position is, you know, you could have a snowstorm in November, you could have a snowstorm in December. You know, that stop date's gonna fluctuate. I mean, we can put a date in, but I mean, it could, you know, if you got the job scheduled to start December 1st, and you end up with a snowstorm and Ricky needs some help, you know, last week of November.
Well, why don't we put in November 15th?
Well, didn't we discuss last time that he would also cover vacations in the summer? So we can't lock it into a certain area.
I think by definition, seasonal is a specific time, and then you can opt to extend that, I think, later on. We don't want to go into a commitment past the seasonal. Maybe we should make it
Maybe we
consistent
need-
with the probational period of 6 months.
Maybe
Which
we
would be-
need to find out what Department of Labor can, defines seasonal.
I read it in one of the rule books, but I know that
I'll
it's
consult with
not just open-ended.
Okay.
We can go 11:15 to 4:15.
I think that we should do something like that with an option to extend it. We couldn't just 11:15
15 to 4:15.
to 4:15. You always have an option to extend, but you don't have an option to pull back if you don't need them.
That's
We made that mistake once.
That's 6 months.
Okay.
That'd be good.
Is that 6 months? Okay. So do I have a motion to approve of the seasonal public works position to be reviewed in the paper? You want to publish it in the paper, and also it's going to be
Posted around town.
posted around town at the IGA. It's going to be at West Lubec, and we're going to take it around. Do I have a motion to have that advertised for that length of time?
Well, this
And
isn't,
salary commensurate with experience, is that what you want to put on there?
Yeah, we'll just put an ad out, and then in the ad, we're gonna say a job description is available at Lubec Town.
Okay.
right, so this isn't the ad.
No.
This is
No,
the job
But,
description.
right,
Just
it's
the job
still,
description.
it's all tied in with the job description. We also have to come up with the approval to put in an ad. Am I right, John? Am I-
Yeah, you mean to go ahead and put the ad out, I'll put the ad out.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. It's already October 23rd, so when's the deadline for the Quaddy Tides?
The Quaddy Tides, should be out tomorrow, so it's gonna be 2 weeks.
So we got another
Downey's-
paper we can put it
Downey's postal
in,
comes out on Tuesday.
so we need to
And
do
if
that.
if we blanket town, if we hit lines. if
I
we
hope we
hit
get somebody
Lubec,
local, that would be better.
you know, we should be able to
You're gonna put it on TV?
put it on Channel
Put it
7,
on Channel
put it on the website.
All right. All right, so we have a motion to go ahead with the seasonal part-time public works position plus an ad as soon as possible. Dan, motion?
Motion to put in the seasonal public works position and in all communications available as soon as possible.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, committee updates, Betty, please.
Did we skip over one?
No, it's gonna be right after committee update.
Okay, Shellfish Committee met on October 20th. They will be participating in the DMR and the biomass survey, which will be held on Saturday, November 15th at 9 a.m. behind the Dewey's Real Estate Office or the old CV restaurant. They also discussed the rotation of plant water quality testing in this area and possible changes to the shellfish ordinance. Their next meeting will be November 23rd at 12 noon here at the municipal office. Harbor Board Committee, they met on October 15th. They discussed the mooring field, marina project, and the need for signage on the waterfront. Their next meeting will be November 19th at 7 p.m. The next meeting for Washington County Emergency Medical Services Committee is November 28th at 4:30 p.m. in Medi-Vents. County Commissioners budget, they are all done with their meetings. And it looks like right now the budget will increase by 2.3%. Municipal Facilities Committee will be meeting again on, they met on October 15th, which was discussed, and when's the next meeting?
29.
29th
29th.
At 6.
at 6 o'clock.
And the next meeting for the revolving loan committee is November 6th at 9 a.m. Recycling committee, their last meeting, there was a question because of the holiday. Some showed up, some didn't. Didn't really have enough to have a meeting. So the next meeting will be November 10th at 4 o'clock here. Economic Development Committee, they met on October 6th, and the next meeting is October 30th at 6 p.m. Now, I don't have anything for Marion Transfer Station. I'm gonna stop by.
Thank you. That's it? Next on the agenda, we have our Sheriff Donnie Smith here this evening, and he wants to share some words with us, and we're glad to have him.
Thank you. Well, I'm Stan. I won't keep you long because it was a long rainy night. Thank you very much for having me. And this is the third time I've addressed the board prior to my election. Been to the board members on several occasions to deal with other issues. Just want to give you a little news and tell you where the Sheriff's Department stands right now. We currently we have 8 deputies. 6 work the road. We have a detective now and an officer working with the main drug enforcement agencies funded by us, and then we're hoping to get another agent funded by the state so we can have 2 in the county, because right now we only have 1, and that one is with us. Sheriff's office I've been able to reduce the budget pretty much every year since I've been sheriff, and still we've added 2 positions with a reduction in budget. We're proud to say that about a year ago, we received the first ever partnership award for working with Next Step Domestic Violence Project. We received an award from the Department of Public Safety, Maine Department of Public Safety, for our work with the state police in solving crime in Washington County. That was the first time a sheriff's office had ever received that award. Also very proud of that. I myself have been sitting on the National Sheriff's Association Domestic Violence Committee, and just 2 days ago I was appointed to the National Animal Cruelty Association Committee. This is with the National Sheriff's Association. And the reason those 2 committees are kind of work together is because statistically we found that a lot of domestic violence, school shooters, these type of people, psychopaths, tend to abuse animals, and that's why those 2 committees have kind of joined together. But I was asked to serve on that committee, I guess it just as of 2 days ago, and I'm excited about that. Done a lot of work with animals myself, being a canine officer. Still have Ginger. Ginger's still certified, even though she's 13. She's still doing her job as best she can. As far as clearance rates are up, we've received an award, I think it was 2 years ago, for having the highest clearance rates in the state for 2 years running. They're still in the top. They seem to peak and valley depending on what we have for crimes, but we're very proud of it. I'm very proud of my agency, of the work that they have done, along with the state police and other agencies to solve crime. Do we solve 100% of the crime? No. If we did, we'd have 100% clearance rates. Our clearance rate usually varies from 48 to 64%, which is a very high clearance rate. One of the reasons I think that we have that success is that what we try to do is, even though we're limited resources, if we have a problem area, with rash of burglaries, give you an example of Perry's, the fires in Perry was a prime example. We dumped everything we had in that, along with the forestry, even corrections division, and worked that very hard for about 2 nights, and actually solved those fires and got put into that. And that's kind of what we tend to do. It gets expensive sometimes, and sometimes it's limited to how long we can do it because of funding. But that's always been our goal. Right now, I'm not going to share just what we're doing, but we're aggressively trying to go at this drug issue. We're seeing an influx of heroin coming into the county now, and we're trying to get ahead of that curve a little bit by putting pressure. But let that out, how we're going about that, then with that information I just assumed they didn't have. As far as the drug problem, we all know there's a problem. It's been a problem, and there's going to be a problem long after I'm gone. It's been a problem long before I was here. I spoke of this the other night at the debate that the nation is spending about $15 billion a year. The states, 50 states, are spending about $27 billion a year. And our incarceration rate over the last 4 years has increased by 43,000 per year. We're not doing it correctly. We're not doing this right. I truly believe we need to stop throwing money at this problem, treat it as what it is an illness. You don't get arrested and become an addict. You become an addict and then you get arrested. We cannot arrest our way out of this, is what we were trying to do as well since the 1800s, quite frankly. And I really, trying desperately to increase our mental health funding, which we continue to lose. We just recently, Eastwood Health Center recently just received a grant. They're going to work, we're meeting, I think, next week with them. They're going to work with us to provide mental health for inmates who get released. That's very important. That's a real big piece that we're missing, because we just turn people loose. The jail has become the mental health institute for Washington County, and it just doesn't work. So we're excited about that. I think it's not going to be the cure-all. Of course not. It will never be. But that's a start, and that's thanks to the Eastwood Healthcare that they're willing to work with us and help provide some treatment for inmates after they get out of the facility. We do have some funding for in-house treatment. It's very limited, and because of the state funding issues, the jail consolidation law, which I've been opposed from day one, we've lost over $200,000 in the last 2 years, which has caused us to lose 2 positions. One was our program director, one was our jail clerk, and then we still had to come up with funding, because neither one of those people made $100,000 a year. We've lost $200,000 because we've been flat funded for the last 2 years. And if they flat fund us again next year, we're in big trouble, because we've got every place we can cut. The only thing we can do is we have to lay off staff and probably go to a 32-bed facility versus a 42, because there's nowhere else to go. But we'll cross that bridge next year when July comes around. Because they're in a fiscal, the county's January, they're July. So there's just some of the things we're doing. Like I said, I'm very proud of the agency where we are. I've got great people working for me, hard-working people. In fact, I've got some people I have to tell to go home. One of the things as an administrator, as anybody who's ever been an administrator, you have to be very aware of is the burnout of, especially of police officers, because what you don't want to do is burn them out, because when you burn them out, of course productivity goes down, plus they tend to have trouble, that can cause them trouble with their home life, and then you've got real problems. So I have to be very much aware of that, the chief deputy and I, making sure we don't overwork people, because I actually really have people that would just never go home, they just work, they continue to work for me. They're that dedicated. So that's kind of where we are. I mean, I'm certainly open to any questions. I don't want to take too much of your time. Like I said, my budget's been approved already for next year. I cut my budget this year by $11,000, so the budget committee instantly approved it. Said I was the only department in the county to come in with a reduced budget again. So they've already approved my budget for the fiscal, and that's patrol. I don't have any control over the jail budget any longer, because that's set by the state. The Board of Corrections sets that. The budget committee doesn't even get to see that any longer. What do you do with that? I totally don't agree with that, but that's the way the law reads, so I really have little control over that. We submit what we think we need, and then they tell us what we're going to get, and we have to live with it. That's the way it is until that gets changed, if it ever gets changed. Anybody have any questions of me, so I won't keep too much of your time?
And I think for the record, Donnie, I know you've been very responsive to me.
Yes, sir.
If somebody comes with an issue, you usually get back to me right away. And I've called you with stuff from issues that I've heard, and you're already dealing with it. So, thank you, Don.
Yeah, we try to, I mean, listen, I never turn anybody away. Rarely does anybody make an appointment, they just show up. If I'm there, I see them, I always return their emails and phone calls. And certainly, anytime, I mean, you're not the only person,
Right.
and you know, we've kind of become the dumping ground, quite frankly. You know, we've got a phenomenal call sharing agreement with the Maine State Police. In fact, it's so good, it saves the taxpayers approximately $100,000 a year. Because what we do, we split the county 50-50 with the state police, and then it's almost like two agencies. For instance, just give an example, one of their officers call out sick, or one of our officers call out sick, and we don't have anybody to replace that officer with. They call us, we call them, and we'll fill their slot. That saves a bunch of overtime. When they go to range for 2 or 3 days, they take the county versus, say, for us, when they have their Christmas party, we used to cover for them. And we usually don't have a Christmas party because I can't do it, because simple reason, I can't get the corrections on. I just can't leave the jail with nobody in it. And the inmates, we hope they'd stay, but they may not, so, but we don't get to do that. That may, tell me that's not me. I'm sorry. It's not me.
No, you.
I was gonna answer. Anyway, it wasn't me, I'm not sorry. Good, yeah. So anybody, anything else?
If somebody has an issue, or they see something, or they need to get a hold of an officer, what's the best way for them to,
Okay, that's a good question.
don't call you personally?
Well, that's the worst thing to do, because this happens to me continuously where, I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean, I'll be in a grocery store or at a gas station on Saturday, something, someone say, oh, I mean to see, tell you something. Well, that, you know, the chances of me remembering that on Monday, or even when I get back to the car, is slim to none, I'll be honest with you. You know, so, I don't mind it, I don't, you know, it's fine, that's my job. But the best thing to do, you don't have to work, because sometimes, like, you know, we have slot 1, 2, and 3, and it could be a trooper or a deputy covering. For instance, Halloween night, the state police have this area. And I know there's been some concerns and some rumors. I have the names, I've addressed it already with the people that had the plans. We think we've put an end to it, and I want to thank Tina Wormel for her help with that. Tina's been she's always great to work with. So we think we've put an end to that already, but the state police do have the area, we have made them aware. But we hope that we have already got ahead of that curve. The best thing to do is call the Regional Communications Center. It's 255-8308. And actually, I have to get this number out of my wallet, because I'm not going to remember this 800 number. But probably, if you call 800 432, my card, where are they? It's 7308, isn't it? That number is, that's probably the best.
432-7303.
So, yeah, that's probably the best number, you can keep that, the call.
I would get that on that.
Yeah, because that number is almost never busy. It rolls right over to the other number, so that's, and you don't have to worry about who has the area, like, if it's not the state police, because the dispatch will take care of that. If the state police have the area, they'll batch it right through the state police. If it's not an emergency, they may tell you to give the state police number and have you call back. Just call the state police if it's an emergency of any kind. Because 911's, you know, that's the other thing you don't have to worry about. If it's an emergency, you dial 911. That's going to come to the Regional Communications Center, which ours. It'll be a cell phone or a landline. They'll automatically patch that straight through to the state police, so you don't have to worry about who's covering. It will get to the right person. And same with the 8308. I mean, they'll probably patch you through the state police, like I said, or they may say to you, depending if they're busy. If it's not, it's just informational. Here, please call state police at this number, and you'll get the. Well, it used to be the Arnold Barracks. They've actually moved to Bangor. I'm going to answer that eventually. So you don't have to worry about that. There has been some things that have been brought to my attention in Lubec, and not just Lubec recently, about people seeing needles alongside the road.
That's the best way to proceed with that.
Yeah, we prefer you don't touch them. I mean, usually if they've been out alongside the road, they're probably not going to affect you in a way. We still prefer you don't touch them. Again, call that number. Please be patient. You know, we got, you know, for example, the last 3 years alone, we've answered over 20,000 complaints. So, you know, persons up on Route 9, a motor vehicle accident, and they don't get to it right away. Don't think that they're not going to, and certainly don't be afraid. Anybody to call back again and say, listen, they're still there. If it's in Lubec, I'm probably going to go pick them up. We're going to pick them up before I go to work, and that's an easy one. But if they're somewhere else, you know, I might not get to them, but I mean, it's better for us to handle than anybody else. It's an ongoing problem, again, that seems the peak and valley of, with what type of drugs, is the flavor of the day. Be a long time, we won't hear from anybody, and then all of a sudden, we start hearing about it again. But we will take care of those for you but just understand that it may not happen immediately for the simple reason we have to prioritize our complaints. That's all there is to it with a small, you have to realize, just quickly, so you understand, we have slot 1, and that goes from Steuben to Jonesboro, and that encompasses all the way to Route 9 to Addison, to Jonesport, and everything in between. Slot 2 starts in Jonesboro, goes to Robbinston, but that includes Route 9, you know, Chaisport, Rose Bluff, Lubec, all those towns in between. And the third slot starts at Red Beach, goes all the way to the Rooster County line. So you got to understand that, you know, if an officer's in Crawford in a motor vehicle accident, it's going to take him a while to get to Lubec, you know, to answer. And you know, I always say this. They say, call it a patrol division. You know, I call it a complaint division. They just run from one complaint to the other. It's you know, it's pretty busy. One thing I'd like to, for people that are listening, the two complaints that we deal with the most are motor vehicle accidents, which certainly we have to deal with. But the second one is 911 hang-ups. In most 911 hang-ups, it can be pocket dial cell phones, which are just basically, we're going to get, you know, something that would hit a certain tower and so many, you know, it's impossible to find the person, right? But a lot of times if people dial 411 or 211 and they realize they've done it and hang up. But what we have is, as soon as that call hits, we know where it came from. It's called E911. And so if by hanging up, and then what happens is when we call back, nobody answers. That causes a lot of wasted energy and resources. So please, if you accidentally dial 911, either stay on the line or answer the phone and then call back. An officer still might come if they're not comfortable with the answers that are given. Oddly enough, very few domestics are 911 hang-ups. Usually they're not. It's just what they are, 911 hang-up. It's an accidental dial. You know, the worst thing people can do is put, and many people do this, is have someone on speed dial for 911. That causes more 911 problems because a kid would hit it, or please answer the phone, speak to the dispatcher. They're going to put that through the officer. The officer is going to call you, and then so we're not mad, we're not angry, but what happens to us is we have to drive. You know, if an officer has to drive from, you know, Robinson to Danforth to find out that there was an accident because nobody would pick the phone up. And not always is expensive, it's time consuming, and it takes the officer, he or she, away from anything else they're doing. So I just stress again, please respond to the 911 operator when they call back, because they're going to call back, because you cannot fool them, because your address comes up instantly on their screen, and they know where you live. So that will help us a great deal. And anything else, I mean, I'm always there. If you know, John, as you know, I can't hide. Even when I want to, I can't.
Right.
But does anybody else have any concerns or questions about anything? I'm certainly willing to try to answer them.
Thank you for coming out,
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
especially terrible weather today.
Well, yeah, I was just telling somebody, I said, it's always a campaign season, you know, you can count on one of these, and most years, just telling, I think I was telling this gentleman, I said, most year campaign signs by now are in Nova Scotia. So
Possibly
but
after tonight.
you can count on at least one of these windstorms, you know. I said, we need to move the election back a month or so before these happen. But every time I've run, every time I've been getting calls all day saying, you know, like this side is blowing over, this side is blowing over, and I just wait to say, you chase them all over the county. You know, I've found it, but one of my best stories about campaign signs, I think it was the first time I ran, they must have had one at the end of Route 9. And my minister assistant came by one day, she says, you know, you got a sign at the top of the tree by the big stop. And I was down there, sure enough, it was pretty much the top of a big spruce tree. And it stayed there for almost 2 years. And one day, I was like, I'll go by, I'd look, still be there. Whenever I was gone, I walked in the field, sure enough, it finally fell down. But if it only stayed there the next campaign season, I think that would be great. One that would not come back out.
Now, would there anybody flying by can say, oh, look.
Yeah, but you can see it, you can read it. That was funny about it, you know. Anyway, I wasn't climbing the tree, I can tell you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, I'm going home. Take care.
So, public comment? Denise? John? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, do all speak at once?
Second.
All right, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
You got
All right,
the
Did
motion.
you get one?
You're gonna get the
Oh, I didn't hear you, Heather.
I got the second, we got the
She's
second.
already
Hear you.
documented
All
it.
at once, the vote.
Oh, the vote, all in favor? You need to speak up.